On this day in history, February 17th, 1600, on his way to be burned at the stake for heresy at Campo de Fiori in Rome, the philosopher Giordano Bruno has a wooden vise put on his tongue to prevent him continuing to speak. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, going over the history of the philosopher. Giordano Bruno, born circa 1548, died 1600, Italian philosopher, was born near Nola. In 1563, he became a Dominican at Naples, but later, on account of his views on transubstantiation and on the Immaculate Conception, he was forced to leave Italy. In 1579, he reached Geneva, the home of Calvinism. Finding himself out of harmony there, he wandered on through Toulouse, where he lectured on philosophy, arriving at Paris in 1581. There he delivered lectures on the logical system of Raymond Lully, and wrote the De Hombris Idearum, Ars Memorae, De Compendiosa Architectura et Complemento Artis Lulli, Cantus Secaius, and the satirical comedy Il Candelho. In 1583, Bruno traveled to England, where, in spite of his disgust with English manners and the pedantry of Oxford, he produced his best works, Seno della Ceneri, a criticism of English social life and an exposition of the Copernican theory, Della causa, principio de uno, and del infinito, universo I mondi, metaphysical works, Erioci, Fororio, Cabala del cavallo Pegasio, and Spazio della bestia trionfante. The Spazio is an allegory treating of moral philosophy and expressing his opposition to religion. It exalts truth, prudence, wisdom, law, and judgment, and at the same time scoffs at the mysteries of faith and places the Jewish record on level with Greek myths. In 1585 to 86, Bruno returned to Paris, but wandered on to Marburg and Wittenberg, the headquarters of Lutheranism, where he wrote a number of logical treatises. The Calvinists proved too much for him. In 1588, he went to Prague, then to Helmstadt and Frankfurt, where in 1590 he published three important metaphysical works, De Triplici Minimo et Mensura, De Monade, Numero et Figura, De Immenso et Innumerabilibus. We find him next at Zurich, whence he accepted an invitation to Venice. This led to the emissaries of the Inquisition to bringing him to Rome in 1593, where he was imprisoned for 7 years before he was excommunicated and burnt at the stake on February 17, 1600. Apart from his disdainful boasting nature and his attack on contemporary Christianity, the chief causes of Bruno's downfall were his rejection of Aristotelian astronomy for that of Copernicus, which allowed for the possibility of innumerable worlds, and his pantheistic tendencies. Inspired by the Stoics, the Neoplatonists, and above all by Nicholas of Cusa, Bruno asserted that amid all the varying phenomena of the universe, there is something which gives coherence and intelligibility to them, and this something is God, the universal unifying substance from which all things come of necessity. As a manifestation of God, the universe must be infinite and animated, but being itself difficult to comprehend, it gives no true knowledge of God, who is far removed from his effects. As the unity in all things, God may be called the monos monadum, every other thing being a monos, or self-existent, living nature, a universe in itself. The human soul is a thinking monad whose highest function is the contemplation of the divine unity, and whose destiny is immortality as a portion of the divine life. In the later Latin treatises, these pantheistic tendencies are moderated, the universe appearing as the realization of the divine mind.